We're back with the E36 here. We got the rear end in like we had talked about. Differentials in place. All of our parts are in place. Nice powder coated parts. We're gonna start moving to the front. We haven't put the wheel bearings in yet. They just arrived finally, so we'll go ahead and put the wheel bearings in so some of this stuff's loose. We're gonna start moving to the front. We're gonna assemble the damper because one of the dampers, we have to use the WiseFab caster plate. So we're gonna disassemble that here in a second and show you how we install all that. So we're just gonna go ahead and start moving towards the front and get it going. We got the damper here. All right, so we've got the damper here. It's a little dirty just from drifting for however many years it's been drifting. I wanted to check it because we do actually have to put the top hat on this, the WiseFab piece. So it's a good time once you're disassembling this to pull the springs and kind of check, make sure you don't have any like oil leaks or anything like that. Doesn't really appear to be, but still a good time to go ahead and clean it out and make sure to get all the debris out from in between the springs and the tender springs. Like I said, it's a good time to start cleaning these things. Whenever you're making rod height adjustments, when there's like debris and grit in here, it makes it really hard to crank on it. It's just a lot easier to clean the threads out like while you have it apart. You know, you can still do it in the car. I do it all the time, but it's just easier like while we're here, go ahead and get a clean surface. That way, whenever you're making rod height or corner balance adjustments, it's just a lot easier to turn these spanners. We finished up the front suspension, rear suspension's done as well. While we were doing that, Hunter was working on the intercooler and the radiator. As you can see, we're doing wiggins just like we did in the FD before. So he's got the upper neck done. He's gonna finish up this bottom neck as well. He's got the compressor housing off right now, getting ready to cut it to pieces and put some wiggins on it. So he finished all that stuff up. We got the suspension done. And then in a few seconds, I'm gonna start working on installing the really sweet dash that we have and mounting the actual gauge to the actual dash itself as well. We got this really sweet carbon Kevlar dash. We had to cut some of it down the sides. The end caps were cut off. We're gonna have to cut it a lot more because the factory dash was definitely cut far more, but I'd rather start a little early. So what I've done was I've cut the end caps off. So as we pull this in, we'll refasten the end caps on here, probably do some panel bond on the back side. That way it makes this look nice and clean. So we'll get to that here after a while, but right now, we're gonna get this Haltech IC-7 Dash mounted up, which is really, really cool. It's a pretty big display. One of the big issues that we have is because of the size of the display, it doesn't necessarily fit in here real, cleanly. So had a few little different things that we were working on, but have a 3D printed mount that'll go on the back of there, kind of clean it up, do some standoffs there, have a backing plate on the back side of that, and we're gonna drill and get all that stuff mounted up now. So we've got our IC-7 Dash here. So this is the backing piece that we're going to use. So that's actually going to mount to this piece itself. And then from there, we're gonna use standoffs. We're gonna tap this, and that's what's gonna grab on from the back side using our backing plate. So essentially it'll be something like that. So we got our little mount built up that we're working on. The big thing is you had 3 pickup points here, and where the third one landed was kind of right in the center on this lip. So we wanted to get it kind of raised up a bit and pick up new pickup points. So this backing plate is going to go on the back side of the carbon Kevlar. It's going to bolt through, and we have standoffs to give us 4 new pickup points to try to pick us up off of here. So we can just gently lay it in there, and we'll cut 1 hole here for our wiring to pass through there. Rubber grommet, so it'll be all nice and clean and you won't see any wires. The goal is, as this, we have to remove more and more material here. As we recess this in here, I'm gonna fasten this in a manner where, if it lines up somewhere like that, we have an end cap on the very end of it. So that's why I want to go ahead and take it off. That way, wherever this lands, we can kind of make it nice and pretty, make it look like it was, all still one piece. We were trying to get this dash installed, as you saw, and we were trying to put the factory column back in place, but the pass-through is kind of small here. And as you can see, this is pretty bulky. And to retain all this, originally we wanted to retain it all, but the more we dove into it, we kind of realized it's probably best just to put an actual proper race column in. Kind of pivot a little bit. I didn't want to use this because we were gonna have to literally chop all of this to bits. And it's so attractive that I thought if we ran a proper race column that we could just do a singular pass through with like a rubber grommet, make it nice and clean. So right now we're measuring, we got the pedals in place, we've got the seat in place. Right now these are just mock-up pieces that I use, but we're gonna use a Woodward setup, get Chase and get us in here and see where the drivers are gonna be. This will allow us to kind of do a pass through and make it just look a lot cleaner through there as opposed to using the big bulky factory column, and it gives the whole car like a nice, nice finish. Hunter's done a great job up here, making some pie cuts for our intake and our intercooler. It's taken a little bit more time just because we're repositioned where the actual oil cooler is going to go. So he's having to go around that. That's our little mock-up bracket there. But he's made some pretty good progress there. On this side, he's made some more progress here. Obviously Wiggins, like we keep talking about and discussing. So doing a great job there. We're gonna get the oil coolers started here pretty soon. We also got the actual, we ordered the parts from Woodward, and I built this little firewall mount here so our Woodward collapsible column can come through here, and then we'll tie in there. So we ordered all those pieces. All that stuff should be here probably in the next week or so. We got the front suspension on, the WiseFab parts on. They look pretty cool. The rear end's put back together. We got the wheel bearings back in place, and after that, I mean, the next few things we're gonna probably start working on is the fuel system, finish up the steering system once all the parts arrive here and get it measured properly. Hunter's gonna finish that stuff up, and hopefully we can fire this thing up soon.
I'm so in love with you. You got me down again.
we're gonna be putting our carbon Kevlar door skins in. I gotta put all the internals in here. We're gonna do electric windows. Thinking about putting the switches up under the dash. We talked with Chase a little bit about it, haven't quite decided on that, but the door handles will pass through here. So we're just gonna mount the skins and start working on getting the interior tidied up. We went ahead and put our firewall panel in here, if you can see that, with a little bit of trim. We're still waiting on the final pieces to finalize the steering wheel from Woodward. Should be here this week. Otherwise, we're just gonna work on interior most of this week.